Hey everyone, Tin Man here, and 24 hours after they released the big head-to-head update, the Dota Underlords devs have released a secondary patch where they update some bug fixes as well as adjust one of the alliances, the Demon Hunter alliance, which was changed during the head-to-head update. And so I wanted to give a little bit of an update on what this means, as well as my thoughts on the meta after playing it quite a bit in the past 24 hours. So first, the bug fixes. The big one was that Brawny was not working correctly. If you'll remember from the past video, I mentioned that Brawny would be extremely strong in the new meta because you basically always have the Forged in Battle item available by just buying Brawny units and playing them. I did not get to test it a ton because for most of the day it was bugged. The units would simply not count kills, and obviously if they're not counting the kills, they can't gain bonus health per every kill. However, I did get a couple games in with the change, and I was intentionally trying to play Juggernauts and Beastmasters and trying to rack up kills and see how it worked. And I think I want to temper my expectations of it. I really thought, oh, Brawny's going to be this insanely strong, like meta-defining synergy. And the more I kind of played with it, I thought, so Brawny used to have 300 base health when you paired two of them together. They got a big burst of 300 health right away, and then if you got the Forged in Battle item, they would continue to ramp up. However, now they don't have that base 300 health, so it really takes about 10 kills until the units kind of break even on where they were before. And if you don't get Beastmaster and Juggernaut, on round 2, and then maybe start farming up some creep kills in the opening rounds, and you have to get all those against actual human players, it can take a while to really hit that break point. And that kind of weakens their early game, and in that kind of with Brawny, you really want to be snowballing. And if you take a little bit longer to get the snowball started, that means it takes longer to really get online and really start going crazy. So I'm going to temper my expectations of Brawny just a little bit after experimenting with that. However, I still think it's a strong synergy, and I still think you'll see probably like the two Brawny synergy a whole lot, Juggernaut and Beastmaster in particular. So the other bug fixes that they added in, I don't think were very consequential. The Divine Rapier, the Poaching Knife got adjusted. That is still a very strong item. Poaching Knife giving you extra gold when you get kills. But the other big change was that they adjusted Demon Hunter. So my other big prediction from the patch notes yesterday was that Demon Hunter would be a dominant force in the meta. And it was. For most of the day, it was approximately as strong as, I predicted it was. It was just a straight buff. Anti-Mage and Terrorblade on their own got insanely strong. A lot of my games that I played, I tried to force Demon Hunters to pretty good success. Terrorblade was just a crazy carry. Anti-Mage did a lot in the early game as well. So I really knew that they were going to have to adjust Demon Hunters, and I'm really glad they took it as quickly as they did. They nerfed it so that now the extra pure damage is only 50% for all Demon Hunters, regardless of the number of the demons on the board. And that only applies when you have both Anti-Mage and Terrorblade. So no more scaling based on the number of demons you have. I think that brings them down pretty considerably. I don't think they're going to be a dominant force in the meta anymore. You'll still see maybe Anti-Mage and Terrorblade splashed into compositions where it makes sense. Where you already have a good front line, maybe alongside like a Treant Protector when you have Elusive, or possibly kind of as a side note in some warrior builds, but no longer will we see these like massive play every demon that you possibly can throw in there, which I was definitely afraid of if that became the meta because, I think it would be a very stale meta. So other thoughts on the meta from the past day is I tried a lot with Bloodbound, the new item, or I guess it's not a new item, Big Time Contract. It got buffed pretty substantially where it now gives plus 250 health, and in addition to making it Bloodbound instead of just making them Bloodbound. But another key point that I kind of missed in my previous patch notes was that because we're removing all of the alliance items from the game and only adding in a couple new items, every item that you get, you actually get to see it a lot more often because you don't have like those other alliance items kind of clogging up the options. So there's less items in the game, which means you're going to get each one of them more often. So I found it very easy if you find one or two big time contracts to really stack them up. I had several games today where I got 3 copies of big time contract and was able to just go crazy with it. And I think that's a very valid strategy now because you have access to just more of them. Whereas before it's like, oh, I got lucky and I got 1 of them. Now it's like, I can get 3 and it's not that terribly unusual. So I think Bloodbound is going to be very cool, very strong. I think it pairs well with Knights when you slap it on Dragon Knight or Luna or both. I think it works well on Assassins too. Putting it on something like Slark or Queen of Pain or Phantom Assassin lets them go really crazy with their damage output. So I've had a little bit of success trying both those, but definitely pick up Big Time Contract if you see it in the opening couple rounds or even on round 10. It's really worthwhile to try it out. Other notes, Assassins are kind of still okay. I haven't found quite the right build. I don't think the right build is 9 Assassins. You just have to run too many weak Assassins. I think kind of a combo Bloodbound along with maybe a Tidehunter for some additional stuns and CC effects, something along those lines along with 6 Assassins may be the right way to go, but I'm not sure. Knights were very strong, and on most of my games there was always some Knight player going into the top 3. So because Knights really didn't get affected by the last patch, and they were already reasonably strong, and a lot of things got nerfed, so Knights will naturally just stay on top if they were already strong and not changed. They weren't really reliant on any of their alliance items. Age of Chivalry was not great for Knights. It was fine, but nothing key that they needed. And Coordinated Assault was really good, but you start to see a move away from Troll Knights and maybe more towards like Dragon Knights or Bloodbound Knights. And last note is that Bracers of Desperation is still overpowered, and I'm really, really surprised that they did not address that in this patch. They chose to address the Demon Hunter change, but they didn't choose to address Bracers of Desperation, which I really thought was the big egregious error of the patch. It's essentially a 3-cost Refresher Orb with upside. Or not a 3-cost, a tier 3 Refresher Orb with upside. It's just crazy. Pick it up any chance you get. Put it on somebody who you'd put on Refresher Orb and just go to town. The other item, the Hood of the Undying, that item surprised me as well. Giving your unit 4 extra seconds of sticking around the fight is actually pretty substantial, and that's moved up in my estimation after playing it for a day. The last note I want to say is that this meta is very much defined by 3-star units. A lot of my games against other top Lord players have ended where the first place had 4 or more 3-star units, and I've even gotten like 3rd place when I was playing Hunters, and I had 5 3-star units, but it wasn't good enough because other people had 4 and 5 as well. So definitely focus on getting 3-star units. The new reroll mechanics really help that out. Generally, you'll level up to level 8 and then just reroll a bunch there and maybe sneak up to 9 at some point if you already have some upgrades and want to put another unit in. But really focus on getting 3-star units and start looking for those early on, and you can have a lot of success in this new meta. So thanks for watching. I hope this helped you out, and I will see you next time.